Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sovereign Ratio, where we talk about everything self-improvement, financials, and crypto. Today, I want to discuss Bitcoin and its current price action and indicators, as opposed to the 2015 cycle and other bull cycles. Before we get started, if you would, please smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and please feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions or just want to say something that's on your mind. Let's go ahead and start. So first thing I have here is current price action. Let's take a look. Bitcoin, since its low in November 2022 at 15.5, has gone on to rally 100% basically, all the way up to 31K, where it met some pretty strong resistance. And we can see that it has also ran into several things here on some indicators. So we have an uptrending price line associated with a very downtrending RSI line, which is very bearish. There's several drives of bearish divergence here. Additionally, we're seeing money start to cross to the downside on the money flow. And also on the 2-day chart, we have the same bearish divergence right here on the RSI. You see higher high, higher high, higher high, while we're making lower lows on the 2-day divergence. Now, normally, that would scream to just about anyone bearishness, including me. I was bearish until I did some further investigation, and I found something that I think is very relevant and very important. And I want to make that known. I'm not bullish. I'm not bearish. I trade and I act based off what I see. So I'm never going to present you with a super bullish scenario. I'm never going to give you a super bearish scenario. I'm always willing for the other to take the front seat. But here's what I see today. So I was bearish until I went through and I started to mark off things. I marked off previous halvings, previous tops, previous bottoms, even if there was more than one top or bottom. And then I started to mark off bear market rallies, and I found this isn't new to anyone either. I found that there is a very strong similarity between the number of days that elapsed between these events. I'm not going to go into all of those, but what I am going to do is I'm going to look at the 1-week chart with current price action on Bitcoin. No indicators except volume here on the bottom. So let's look and see what's happened. Bitcoin hit 15.5. It rallied up 100%. Right here, it broke through the weekly Gaussian channel. And the reason that, well, not the reason that happened, but one indicator that leads us to believe and kind of justify that why that happened is we had the 9 EMA cross up the 50 SMA right here, which caused a huge explosion up to this trend line here, which actually meets right in the middle of the Gaussian channel. It's interesting how all these things line up, right? So then from the medium of the Gaussian channel, we grinded sideways here for a couple weeks. And eventually we claimed the midline of that Gaussian channel and bounced up to the top of the Gaussian channel before rejecting off of it, right back down to the middle line again. And also, consequently, the 9 EMA that was previously crossed the 50 SMA here is right here. And today, actually, a couple days ago, I started to see this pattern form. Let's keep this in mind. Gaussian channel break, grind across the median line, top of the channel, back to the middle of the channel, the 9 EMA. All right, let's go back and look at previous cycles. 2019, which is not as relevant, but we're going to look at it anyway. From the top to the bottom is the almost identical number of days as it was in this cycle. From the top to the break of the Gaussian channel and the bear market rally, almost the exact number of days as it was in 2019 cycle. That's something to note. However, what we don't see here is the same action. So we see the bottom here around, where is that? We see the bottom here around $3,000, let's say. Break of the Gaussian channel, straight up past the median. There's no test of the median, straight up past it. Back to almost the median, busting through the Gaussian channel, retesting the Gaussian channel, and straight up. past the Gaussian, from the retest of the Gaussian channel straight up, we're looking at a 87% rally before Bitcoin kind of grinded sideways, had a COVID dump, which I believe would have continued to grind sideways until the halving had that have not happened. Like, for me, this section here was simply a black swan event. I do not believe that would have happened. I feel like it would have just grinded sideways until the halving. But then we have the halving, and then we have just this massive face melting rally up to 61K, which I'm going to make a case that was cut short. There was a popular narrative going around a couple years ago that the 2021 cycle was basically a duplicative of the 2015 cycle, but I feel like that is not a popular opinion anymore. I'm not sure why nobody talks about that, but I'm getting ready to make a very strong case for it. Around this time when Elon started making tweets that dumped the market, I believe this was probably supposed to be a much higher peak. And I feel like there are some people that still believe that, but here's why. So we've looked at the 2019 cycle. Let's look at the 2015 cycle. We had a giant, massive, face-melting rally up to the upside with a peak here. And then we had kind of a relief rally here off of that crazy rally, right? Which for me, this equates with this scenario, this kind of equates to the 61K top in April of 2021, and this kind of equates to the 69K top whenever that was, a couple months later. I can't remember what month it was. We'll look back in a minute. But here's what happened. Almost exactly a year later, the bottom hit. In this particular case, it was like 415 days. But in the next cycle, and then in the 2021 cycle, it was almost a year exactly to the day. Very similar. We hit the bottom, kind of grind sideways, and it's almost like a double bottom situation here in 2015, right? So we see that price action, reject off the Gaussian channel, come back down, and then it busts through the Gaussian channel. And oddly enough, that started to happen when the 9 EMA crossed above the 50 SMA, just like we saw on what we're looking at right now. Price rocketed up to the top of the Gaussian channel here around $375. It bounced back down to the middle of the Gaussian channel here at $300, bounced off the 9 EMA and rocketed up past the Gaussian channel and retested the Gaussian channel. But from the break of the Gaussian channel here, it went up about 30%, retested the Gaussian channel, went on a face melting rally of 115%, dumped 40%, and then just went absolutely bonkers. I mean, look at this. Look at the slope on this parabola here. Look at that. That is insane, right? That's what happened in 2015. That is exactly what's happening right now, with the exception of the big run up here, which I'm now starting to think was cut short because of the circumstances back in 2021. Other than this cycle looks like it's shaping up identically from a day's perspective, between key points, from everything. And right now, we happen to have a lot of really good news, right? We have the IMF is offering Argentina $42 billion to not adopt crypto, which I can't think of anything more bullish than that. We had another bank fail today. Their stock price fell 42%, and then they refused to give investors any sort of reason why that happened. We have Gary Gensler getting drilled by Congress about his lack of action and causing Coinbase to potentially go overseas. There's just this plethora of pro-crypto news that's going on right now. And to me, this daily and 2-day divergence that we're looking at is just irrelevant. Like, honestly, 2 days ago, I was bearish. Until I saw this and until the news came out, it's exciting. I'm not going to say that it's going to go up. I'm not going to say that history is going to repeat itself, but history does tend to rhyme. And while everyone is still there's a lot of bearishness right now on YouTube and Twitter, and people are like, oh, it's going to go down to 25. It's going to go down to 23. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. I think this is the start of something phenomenal. I could be wrong. I'm happy to be proven wrong. I don't have an issue with being wrong. But I'm a data guy. If something good happens, I react. If something bad happens, I react. To me, this is a very good setup from what I'm looking at right now. So we're 371 days from the halving, which is exactly it's to the day, the amount of time that happened in the last cycle from the halving to when it broke through the Gaussian channel on the weekly chart. So I don't know. Here's what I'm looking at though. Conservatively, for me, I think Bitcoin could hit 37K if it continues this trajectory. If it were to do what it did in 2015, it would come up to this first candle, the top of this first candle after the first drop down, which sits at 47K. We also have a previous support here at 41.5K. So I've kind of drawn this box between 37 and 47K. Either way, what I think is going to happen is that if it does bust through, regardless of whether it goes here, or it goes here, or it goes here, or it goes here, what it's going to do is come back and retest that Gaussian channel. So my strategy right now, and I think a good strategy to at least consider, is to be somewhat heavy in the market and be reactive. Right, so if we do bust this Gaussian channel, I would be taking profits somewhere in this box, maybe 25, 25, 25, 25, or 50, 50, or taking profits within this box and waiting to rebuy everything that you want back in the Gaussian channel. For me, that's Bitcoin, Chainlink, Polygon, Thorchain, Filecoin, and Cardano. Those are my coins. I have some Gala, I have some Vulcan Forged, I have some Graph. But beyond like those 8 or 10 coins that I just named, those are my next cycle coins. I'm all about utility and some gaming, but I think utility is going to dominate the next cycle. So that's what I'm looking at. Cardano's slow and steady approach to things, I think, is a win, and I think it's a safe bet. But at that point, if that comes back and retesting that Gaussian channel, that's what I'm going to be looking at DCAing into. Probably not even DCAing, probably just going all in at that point. And being reactive until the halving. But I don't know. Something to think about. This looks really good. Interestingly enough, if we look at the 4-hour chart, the stochastic RSI curved back up and is now again riding the overbought area, which sometimes when something rides the overbought area, look at this example here. Whenever we touched the overbought area, Bitcoin's price was down here and it just rode that overbought area all the way up, for a massive gain of like 29%, just sitting in that area. So it's possible for something to be completely overbought and just grind up and just continue moving up. And that's what it looks like it's doing right now. So it's hard to say. I'm not going to make any guarantees, write any checks, but this is pretty exciting to think about, and it definitely looks realistic, and it definitely rhymes with what's happened before. So I would invite you to consider that. If you appreciate the content, please smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave me a comment. I'm going to continue to make more content, whether it be cryptocurrency, self-improvement, professional gain, men's health, men's dating, things of that nature, evolutionary psychology. All of that's going to be part of what I do here. I'm kind of restarting the channel, and I thought today was a fantastic day to do it with what I'm seeing on the charts. So again, appreciate you coming by. Please smash those buttons, and we will see you in the next video. Safe trading.